Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment, and now they wonder if they've uncovered some kind of death factory. Police hired a private contractor to haul a refrigerator and a tank of acid out of the apartment in the 900 block of North 25th Street. Police found parts of bodies, leading them to believe the man they arrested is a mass murderer.
The officers were stopped by an individual who claimed he was in the apartment and became engaged in a dispute with the owner of the apartment.
A 31-year-old man was arrested at that apartment. This case could get national attention and could be the most gruesome case we have seen in Milwaukee in years.
On May 21, 1960, Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. As a child, due to a congenital skull defect, he had brain surgery and spent long hours sitting alone quietly and spent less time with peers and others. His father, Lionel Dahmer, a chemist, was often away from home for his studies and work. And his mother, Joyce Dahmer, suffering from severe depression, stayed in bed, taking heavy doses of sedatives and sleeping pills daily. Because of this, in Dahmer's childhood home, his parents fought and argued constantly, leaving him neglected without proper care or attention. In the backyard of his home in Bath Township, Ohio, Jeffrey Dahmer showed an unusual hobby, unlike other kids, which was habitually collecting animal carcasses. His chemist father taught him this to talk with his introverted son, focusing on how to preserve animal bones. The father saw it merely as a simple science hobby or taxidermy, but unexpectedly, Dahmer later used this knowledge to dissolve bodies. In 1978, their conflict finally led to divorce proceedings. The mother sued the father for domestic abuse, and the father countered, citing her drug addiction. As the legal battle peaked, the father left home, moving to a nearby motel, and in June that year, the divorce was officially finalized. The mother also left for another state with only his brother David. According to psychiatric analysis, this childhood environment is evaluated as an initial condition for his desire to completely control others' bodies. Inside the Bath home in Ohio left by his parents, 18-year-old Jeffrey Dahmer was left completely alone, and his backyard body dissolving work began moving into the living room and basement. A few days later, on June 18, 1978, 19-year-old Stephen Mark Hicks, while hitchhiking, entered the house where Dahmer lived, and Dahmer suddenly struck his head with a steel dumbbell. Dahmer moved Hicks's dead body to the basement, dismembered it, and buried the remains in the backyard soil. Hicks was reported missing at the time, but the investigation did not reach the Bath home backyard. In the fall of 1978, Dahmer entered Ohio State University, but dropped out after one semester due to heavy drinking and poor grades, and the following year he prepared to enlist in the U.S. Army. Before leaving the house, the body he hurriedly buried a year ago was dug up again to destroy it completely, and after breaking down the flesh and bones, he scattered the remains across the woods behind the house. This was his first attempt to destroy evidence. From 1979 to 1981, Dahmer served as a medic at a U.S. Army base in West Germany, but his alcohol dependence worsened during service, leading to repeated unauthorized absences and violations. Ultimately deemed unfit for service by the military, Dahmer was discharged in March 1981. In the same year, as the Ohio home was foreclosed, Dahmer moved to the house of his grandmother, Catherine Dahmer, in West Allis, Milwaukee, and got a night shift job at Ambrosia Chocolate Factory. Returning after the night shift, he spent most of the day at his grandmother's home, so his activities gradually shifted to the nighttime, and from 1986 he loitered around downtown clubs, actively searching for targets.
In my opinion, he appeared to me to be a geek. By that I mean a guy that stays to himself and just do weird things, unlike anyone else, like suspicious, but not to the degree that you would think that he was around murdering people. You would think that he's just not affiliated with being around things with the happenings, but a square type of guy.
In September 1987, an incident occurred at the Ambassador Hotel in downtown Milwaukee. Dahmer took 25-year-old Stephen Tuomi, whom he met downtown, to the hotel room he booked. The next morning, finding Tuomi dead in the room, Dahmer put the body in a large bag, moved it to his grandmother's basement, and dismembered it. From 1987 to 1989, Dahmer lured and killed a total of 3 men at his grandmother's house. While his grandmother slept upstairs, he lured them to the basement, killed them, and disposed of the bodies, and the victims were mostly from socially marginalized groups. In January 1988, James Buckstater, a 14-year-old Native American boy, who was a runaway loitering around the downtown bus station, accepted accepted Dahmer's offer to pay for photos and entered his home. 2 months later, in March, leaving a downtown bar to go home, 21-year-old Hispanic youth Richard Guerrero also got into Dahmer's car for money and was led down to the basement. And in March 1989, a 26-year-old black youth met at a downtown pub and aspiring model, Anthony Sears, followed Dahmer's offer to drink more and in the basement became the third victim. The disappearances of these racial minorities and marginalized people were treated by law enforcement as mere runaways or temporary absences, and initial investigations were not even launched. Dahmer dismembered the bodies in the basement and used chemicals to erase traces, but he could not stop the foul odor from the rotting bodies. From the basement vents and the yard corner, unexplained foul odors began to occur periodically. His grandmother did not know exactly what Dahmer did in the basement, but suffering severely from the bizarre stench for years, she complained several times about Dahmer's abnormal behavior, and neighbors' complaints were also repeated. During this series of crimes, Dahmer was sentenced to 1 year for child molestation and arrested again for indecent exposure in downtown Milwaukee, but he was granted a work release program. By this measure, he was held in jail during the day and went to the Ambrosia chocolate factory at night to perform night shift labor, returning to jail at dawn, continuing this unusual prison life. In May 1990, as his 1-year sentence neared its end, unable to bear the stench filling the house and her grandson's suspicious lifestyle anymore, his grandmother demanded he evict immediately, saying, "Get out of my house." And being kicked out, the last victim's skull kept in the basement, and other remains were hidden in a box as he left. The place he chose was an old 3-story apartment in a marginalized area of South Milwaukee, where he rented Oxford Apartments Unit 213 for $300 a month. As soon as he moved in, instead of ordinary daily items inside Unit 213, he placed large kitchen knife sets and chemical reagent bottles. The unit had a bathtub right next to the narrow hallway, connecting the entrance and kitchen in a small studio layout. In the same month, Raymond Smith, a 33-year-old black man met at a downtown gay bar, entered Unit 213 following Dahmer's offer to buy drinks. Dahmer incapacitated Smith with a drugged drink and killed him, and dismembered the body in the apartment bathtub. Then he kept his ID in the bedroom closet. A month later, in June 1990, met in downtown Milwaukee, 28-year-old black youth Edward Smith, in the same way, was killed and dismembered in Unit 213. Afterward, Dahmer, by offering monetary rewards, lured them to continue human experiments. Ernest Miller, David Thomas, Curtis Slaughter, Errol Lindsay, and Tony Hughes, racial minorities and socially marginalized people, were lured into Unit 213 one after another before the Konerak Sinthasomphone incident occurred. The total number of victims killed inside Unit 213 reached 7. Like this, since mid-1990, Dahmer mixed sleeping pills into drinks inside Unit 213. Incapacitated targets killed them, and using a kitchen knife set, similar crime patterns of dismembering bodies were repeated. The whole process was captured step by step on the Polaroid camera, and the prints piled up in the dresser under the bed, and the victims' bags were organized like trophies in the bedroom closet. As the killings accumulated, his method of handling bodies became sophisticated. From the early method of simply dismembering and discarding bodies, it later changed to dissolving bodies using drums and acid, and gradually shifted to washing and collecting skulls in the closet. Furthermore, drilling holes in skulls with an electric drill, pouring acid or boiling water inside, acts resembling human experimentation continued, and in trial transcripts regarding the reason for this mutilation, that he wanted to make them someone who would never disappear, he reportedly testified to that effect. As this routine repeated inside Unit 213, the first abnormal sign to appear nearby was the odor. According to some apartment residents, whenever passing the hallway along with the foul stench of rotting animal carcasses at night beyond the inner wall of Unit 213, noises like a chainsaw or tools cutting something were reportedly leaking out. As residents' complaints repeated, the landlord slid warnings through the door gap several times, but Unit 213 never opened even once. A year later, through the search blueprint of Unit 213 confirmed by a police raid, it was revealed as a space strictly separated for body disposal, and the shocking reality of the odor and noise neighbors suffered was finally revealed to the outside in May 1991. As the manager's odor warnings continued for Unit 213, Dahmer immediately visited a chemical store in downtown Milwaukee to buy a 250-liter blue plastic drum and highly concentrated acid reagents, then brought them to the apartment. The drum, large enough to fit an adult male body whole, was soon placed on one side of Unit 213 living room. Afterward, crimes began to handle bodies in a different way than before. before, dismembered body parts went inside the drum, and highly concentrated strong acid was poured over them. Over time, most tissues except bones decomposed. When unassaulted bone fragments completely settled at the bottom, Dahmer repeated the process of recovering them. But even after the new disposal method began, the odor in the hallways and stairs didn't disappear, and residents' complaints continued. Around 10 p.m. on May 27, 1991, on the hallway floor in front of Oxford Apartments Unit 213, a boy lay naked. Unable to support himself, the boy crawled on the floor, completely unfocused and unable to express himself. Glenda Cleveland, a resident passing the hallway, witnessed the abnormal state and called the police immediately. Soon, a patrol car arrived and 3 officers entered the hallway. Noticing the commotion, Dahmer also came out of Unit 213, telling officers that the boy was his 19-year-old partner and that they just had an argument from heavy drinking. Gathered residents shouted, "Unknown liquid is leaking from his body, and he is clearly a minor," blocking the officers. According to later investigation records, there were signs of injury and bleeding on the boy's scalp, but the scene police did not closely check his physical condition. Instead of testimonies from minority residents in marginalized areas, the officers accepted only the statement of Dahmer, a neatly dressed white adult, as the primary truth. They even helped the collapsed boy up and personally laid him on the bed inside Unit 213, and as they left, the door firmly closed again. The boy was Konerak Sinthasomphone, a 14-year-old minor from a Laotian immigrant family. Shortly after the police left, Konerak was killed, and Dahmer's crimes continued between June and July of that year, resulting in 4 additional victims. On June 30, 1991, Dahmer approached 20-year-old Matt Turner at a downtown bus stop, offering to pay him for modeling for photos at his apartment. He brought Turner to Unit 213. Just a week later, on July 7, Dahmer approached 23-year-old Jeremiah Weinberger, who was loitering near Milwaukee's Grand Avenue Mall, offering a specific amount of $100 for photos. Weinberger bought beer with Dahmer at a nearby market and crossed the threshold of Unit 213. In mid-July, the crime location remained downtown. On July 12, Dahmer spotted 23-year-old Oliver Lacey walking near the same mall, offered him money, and brought him to the apartment. Lacey, after entering the room, lost consciousness after drinking a beverage Dahmer pre-drugged. On July 19, Dahmer, at a bus stop around Milwaukee's Marquette University campus, approached 25-year-old Joseph Braidhoft waiting for the next bus. On the pretext of paying him for helping with work, he lured him to Unit 213 via public transit. Of the 4 men, including those who entered earlier, no one was seen coming out of the apartment again. Neighbors' reports and suspicious glances regarding Unit 213 closed without further investigation during the scene response. On the night of July 22, 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer promised money to 32-year-old Tracy Edwards, met downtown and brought him to Unit 213. Dahmer offered a drugged drink as usual, but Edwards detected an unusual, strange odor from the drink and refused to drink more due to a strange chemical taste. Edwards acted contrary to Dahmer's expectations. Dahmer put a metal handcuff on Edwards' wrist and threatened him with a kitchen knife. So Edwards, to avoid provoking Dahmer, saying, "I want to be your friend, I don't need money, and let's lie on the bed together with the handcuff on," reassured Dahmer through psychological tactics and began looking for a chance to escape.
You know, it was like he changed with it at times. Then he would get more aggressive, try to get me to handcuff myself, both hands, and he's told me it made him feel more dominant, like he was listening to my heart, because at a point he told me he was going to eat my heart at that point. When I was on the floor, he had it pointed at my groin area at that time.
Did he ask to engage in any homosexual acts with you?
None whatsoever. And then at certain points, he would change. I guess if you want to put it together in time, every 30 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that, you know.
After a 5-hour standoff, taking advantage of Dahmer's distraction, Edwards punched him in the face, unlocked the door chain and multiple locks with his bare hands after a struggle, and finally succeeded in escaping into the hallway, passing the main gate and running onto the street. He blocked a passing patrol car, showed the metal handcuff on his wrist, and reported the confinement and weapon threat inside Unit 213. At 11:50 p.m., 2 responding patrol officers knocked on Unit 213 door with Edwards, and soon the door opened, revealing Dahmer. Dahmer, who already had police visit before, initially in a very calm manner like last time, explained that the handcuff was just a misunderstanding and led officers to the bedroom to get the key. But one officer searching the bedroom dresser found inside a drawer his upper with photos Dahmer had collected during scenes of dismembered body parts. The scene's atmosphere changed rapidly. As officers immediately tried to arrest and handcuff him, the calm Dahmer suddenly resisted violently, but was immediately subdued by another officer. After midnight, detectives and forensics requested for backup arrived at the scene. Police lines were set up around the apartment, and as investigators entered Unit 213, the reality of the secret room began to unfold. Inside the kitchen, refrigerator and freezer, refrigerated human heads, human tissue in sealed containers, and an unpackaged human heart were found one after another. A total of 4 head remains was secured from the kitchen area, while Dahmer was taken to the Milwaukee police headquarters in a patrol car. Evidence collection continued during a full search of the bedroom closet and dresser, along with multiple ID of the victims. 6 additional human skulls with flesh removed and bleach were found. Then, opening a large 250-liter plastic drum in the corner of the living room, it was filled with acid solution to decompose bodies, revealing 3 human torsos and skeletons dissolving in chemicals.
The suspect may well have been involved in at least 17 homicides. 17 homicides which our investigation indicates, some of which may have occurred outside the city of Milwaukee.
Forensics collected 84 Polaroid photos found under the bed and all the human remains inside the apartment. A detailed forensic analysis which revealed that in Unit 213 of the Oxford apartments alone, remains of 11 victims were discovered. Through Dahmer's later confession, 1 additional dissolved body, 1 case at his Ohio home, 1 at a hotel, and 3 cases at his grandmother's home were revealed, bringing the 13-year crime spree's final death toll to 17.
Police won't confirm a newspaper report that Dahmer has confessed to murder and cannibalism. One longtime acquaintance describes Dahmer as one weird dude. A neighbor offered a similar description.
While investigators moved the remains out of the apartment, residents gathered and tension around the scene spread rapidly. As the Konerak Sinthasomphone case became known later, public criticism of the police response intensified, leading to controversy over law enforcement's failure. On January 30, 1992, in a Milwaukee County courtroom, the trial evaluating Dahmer's mental state began. As the defense filed for leniency based on insanity, the court began hearings to judge his legal accountability, and the trial proceeded to jury review.
You took my 17-year-old son away from me. I'll never get a chance to tell him that I loved him.
We lost, you destroyed the baby of the family, and I hope you go to hell.
Whatever your name is, Satan, I'm mad. This is how you act when you are out of control. I don't want to ever see my mother have to go through this again. Never, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I hate you, mother. I hate you.
2 weeks later, on February 15, the jury reviewed the evidence collected, including 84 Polaroid photos from the apartment, ruling that Dahmer was sane during the crimes. And 2 days later, the court upheld 15 murder charges, sentencing him to consecutive life terms without parole.
Case number F912542, a special verdict. Question 1. At the time the crime was committed in count 1 of the information, did the defendant, Jeffrey L. Dahmer, have a mental disease? Answer, no. As to count 1, the court will impose a mandatory life sentence. Count 2, life imprisonment. Count 3, life imprisonment. Count 4, life imprisonment. Count 5, count 6, count 7, count 8, count 9, count 10, count 11, count 12, count 13, count 14, count 15, life imprisonment. I intended to follow the recommendation of the state. The important point is that the sentence is structured in such a way that this defendant will never again see freedom. That is owed to this community in order to protect the community, as well as acknowledgement of the seriousness of the offenses.
Dahmer, whose sentence was finalized at the maximum security, was transferred to Columbia Correctional Institution in Wisconsin, and outside the courtroom right after the sentencing, civil lawsuit proceedings of the victims' families began. In May 1991, after escaping from Dahmer, but being handed back to the killer by police error, including the Konerak Sinthasomphone case, the families, against the city of Milwaukee and the police, filed a lawsuit for damages. After about 3 years of legal battle, the Milwaukee Common Council accepted liability and paid a total of $847,500 to Konerak Sinthasomphone's family, meaning based on current Korean won value adjusted for inflation, paying a settlement reaching about 2.5 billion won. The lawsuit was concluded, and the Oxford apartment where the crimes occurred was demolished under the Milwaukee City Council's approval. Dahmer, under protective custody in a solitary cell early on, later, according to changes in prison internal guidelines, was assigned to the general population via the Emotional Management Unit. Then, on the morning of November 28, 1994, While cleaning in the prison gym cleaning area, Dahmer, by fellow inmate Christopher Scarver, with an iron exercise bar from the gym, was struck on the skull and was moved by ambulance but died before reaching the hospital. Right after death confirmation, some forensic medical institutions discussed preserving brain tissue for research purposes due to family opposition lawsuits and the court's final order. The preservation process was stopped and the biological tissue was discarded. In 1996, some seized assets and personal items of Dahmer kept as court evidence for civil damage enforcement faced the crisis of being distributed through public auction. As families worrying about gossip and social backlash followed, a group of businessmen in the Milwaukee area raised funds and purchased those items in bulk to prevent external leakage. Right after purchase, the items were moved to a disposal facility. As seized items and photos were cleared according to disposal procedures, the Dahmer case that shook the Milwaukee community came to an end.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons, and eventually I did turn to cannibalism. I'd have the sleeping pill mixture already prepared. A person would drink it, fall asleep, and that's when they would be strangled. I wish I could say that it just left completely, but no, there are times when I still do have the old compulsions. That's what I deserve. I deserve death.
While residents' foul odors, reports, visits, and warnings were repeated, the door of Unit 213 remained closed, and the steps of complacent police arriving at the front door multiple times ultimately failed to save Sinthasomphone. The most dangerous secret room is not a hidden place, but was recorded as existing behind an ordinary door everyone passes by.